time for Mac Geek Gab, and listener Andrew brings us our quick tip of the week. Andrew says, I used to take screenshots of my applications folder and keep them in Evernote, so I had a list of all my Mac apps if my machine crashed and I had to do a clean install. I thought there must be a way to print a list, and there is, and it works. You can make a PDF of your text file if you just go to the applications folder and print that list or screenshot it and put it in notes. More tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 1069 for Monday, December 23rd, National Christmas Movie Marathon Day, Festivus, and happy birthday, Pilot Pete 2024! Greetings, folks, and indeed, welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where you send in tips like that, we bring in tips like that, we share tips like that, we share cool stuff found that we all bring in, we share your questions, we try to give you answers, the goal being that we each learn at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Our sponsors for this episode include 1password.com/MGG. That's where you can go to learn about 1Password extended access management, which we'll talk about later, and Otherworld Computing, and we'll talk about their new Thunderbolt 5 hub a little bit later here. You can find out more about that at macsales.com or clicking the link in the show notes. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in South Dakota, I'm Adam Christensen.
And here also in New Hampshire, it's Pilot Pete, where 1069 means advise your telephone number. What can I say? But you got me, Dave. You talked about Festivus. I have to tell everybody that Festivus is a real holiday. It was actually developed by the father of one of the writers on that episode and celebrated as early as 1966 in protest to the commercialization of Christmas. So
that's fascinating.
There you go. Yeah, and I have one other thing to say about that.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
There we go. Look at that. I had no idea. I thought Festivus was made up for that Seinfeld episode, but there you go. Learn something new every day.
So we got the link in the show notes to the Wikipedia page about it. And much like George Costanza didn't want to talk about his dad creating Festivus, the writer wasn't particularly eager to put that into the show. And the producers talked him into it. And it turned out to be one of the cultural icons of our time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So,
very cool.
Yeah. I while we're kind of getting into things here, I want to make sure everybody knows about our giveaway for December here, which is at macgeekgab.com/giveaway. You can enter to win copies of Brett Terpstra's Marked II, which Adam sings praises about
It's true.
At least once a month.
I use it
because
constantly.
You use it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It is such a great tool. If you do anything with Markdown, it's a tool you definitely want in your toolbox.
Awesome.
And everybody should be using Markdown. I'll just throw that in there too. If you're not, what are you doing with your life?
You know what I'm doing with my life? I'm waiting until we get down on the bug list of our Mac Geek Gab stuff because I can't use Markdown in the Mac Geek Gab WordPress for some reason. It breaks all the text editors.
So I have a quick question about that. I've played with Markdown a good bit, and obviously guys like Brett Terpstra, who invented it,
Brett didn't invent it. John Gruber and Aaron Swartz invented it.
Okay.
Yeah, Gruber.
It was Gruber and Aaron Schwartz, I think.
Anyway, it's amazing, right? I mean, obviously the things you can do with Markdown are eye-watering when it's simply a text file. What I would like to do is, hey, Apple, Microsoft, help us all out here. Have a way to create the cool stuff we do, convert to Markdown. I'm not sure. There may be a way to do that, but because Markdown is going to be timeless, right? It's pure text. It can never be like the old, I don't even remember the name of it now. 20 years ago, there was it wasn't Oracle. It was another one. It was another whole Office suite, which is now defunct. And if you've got documents in that format, you're pretty much toast. You're out of luck. So
yeah. I mean, I would get the Mac Sparky Field Guide for Markdown, like Joan in the Discord chat is asking about, saying I never got it. The best way the best reason, or the reason that convinced me to start using Markdown was just, and really just doing everything in text, is the portability of it. Like,
yeah,
if you're writing stuff and you just write it in text, that's great. So that's step one, is just like, forget about Word and all this other formatting stuff, right? But then people want pretty documents, and that's where Markdown comes in, right? So you write in text with Markdown, and then you take a tool like Marked, and you convert it into a pretty formatted PDF when you need to send it to someone, or a Word doc, or whatever format you need it in, and a rich
or
text.
HTML. It's beautiful.
Or HTML if you need to post it on the web. So, but your source material then is just a text file, and you can back that up. You can put it anywhere. You can keep it. And guess what? We know that Word's not going to probably die, and it'll always be a supported format, but who knows? I do get emails from people who say, oh, I found this old disk or this old storage thing, and I have AppleWorks files on it. Yeah. What do I do? What do I do with those? I have this dissertation I wrote in college, and I'd love to see it again.
You could play Frisbee with that disc. That's about it.
That'll never happen. So even just for future generations, text will always be a format that's probably always formatted and readable and usable. So
I have two things to add. Before I do, I will say that every time I have this conversation with someone about Markdown and I look at the format, it's like, oh yeah, this is how I should be writing all of my notes so that they can just go and do these things. I don't yet. Maybe someday. But at least it doesn't scare me like regex does. So, there's that. Markdown evidently was created by John Gruber alone. However, it was built. Aaron Swartz had created ATX as structured text, and Gruber then, when he created Markdown 2 years later, Swartz was, let's say, he says his sounding board or his first beta tester or whatever. So there you go. That's the story. Okay. And for those files that you mentioned in your anecdote that people don't have apps to convert anymore, one of the very first things that we would have called cool stuff found on this show, and I think we might have even talked about it in episode 1. We didn't call it cool stuff found. We didn't come up with that sort of moniker until years later. But is a website called Zamzar, Zamzar, and it is file conversion on the web. You need to be comfortable uploading whatever the document is or might be to somewhere else.
There's that.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that. Yeah. However, we've found that they have all kinds of, documents, and it's like we had a WordPerfect file or something that was converted, to a Word file or things like that. Those are the ones that are like, oh crap, like, WPS to DocX. That's one of the popular conversions that they have here. So, so Zamzar.com is.
So, Dave, are you sure on the first show you guys didn't call it cool stuff found?
No, we weren't even that interesting at that point, Pete.
That's fun to go back and listen to. It really is. Right? You learn as you go.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and it was
a good show then, even for what you were doing. It was great.
I guess I knew that talking. Yeah, it was two geeks talking. That's correct. Yeah, it got better. And I knew it would.
Geeks talking. It's 50% better.
50%, folks. 50%. Only took 20 years. I do want to thank our Mac Geek Gab CES 2025 sponsors. I can now finally, we have all the agreements are signed, so I can finally tell you who they all are. As you know, if you've listened to recent episodes, CCC Backup, of course, from the folks at Bombic Software, the Omni Group, Private Internet Access, and then this week adding Roborock and Eero to the list. So thanks to all of them for making it possible for us to fly out and stay in Vegas for CES. And I always say our job out there, we go and drink from the fire hose and sift it down into
from the fire hose.
Yep, sift it down into the. Listen, what happens in Vegas stays on the internet forever.
Right on.
Yep, but our job is to sift it down into the things that would be interesting for all of you. The good news is what's interesting to us is interesting to all of you, and that's not an accident. That's because we tend to attract listeners who are interested in the same things we are. So,
you send it to us. Shh.
Like going out to Vegas and like looking at it, we've already been doing like a lot of this work. I've already sifted through things. I know who I'm going to meet with. So I like, and one product category that seems to be gaining steam, and some of these are already out, so I'm not breaking any embargoes here, is open earbuds. So kind of following in the steps of Apple's AirPods Not Pro, like the Gen 3 or Gen 4. There's a lot of these open earbuds, open air earbuds, but instead of the form factor where the AirPods do what they do and just kind of hang in your ear, these open ones clip around the back of your ear or over the top of your ear. And it's really interesting. I
lose one in the toilet that way.
Exactly. It's not just going to bounce out. It's clipped on, but not seal. It's not, whereas AirPods Pro are using your ear, the seal in your ear to hold. So anyway, that's one product category I'm really eager to see. And there's lots coming in that category if all the we'll call them rumors are correct. Mm-hmm. Not really rumors. But,
that,
yeah. So anyway, we'll have more
that
about
for
that.
A quick tip, everyone?
We had a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And we learned about
bonus
markdown.
Tips. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I still don't understand how markdown works. It shouldn't work. Does. Shouldn't.
We'll have a training session. Pete will jump on Zoom and I'll show you.
There you go.
You know what? Speaking of that,
we could do it then.
Hangout.
We could, we did schedule our next Mac Geek Gab hangout. Our Zoom hangout. I know. It's been too long, and that's why we scheduled one. This year's been kind of nuts. It is on the calendar. I believe it's in about a month. It's January 19th. Yep, at 4 p.m. The link will be provided. The link to the Zoom will be provided in the calendar invite. So if you go to macgeekgab.com/calendar, you can subscribe to our calendar that tells you when the live shows happen, as well as those. We will put the link in the Discord on the day of. So that's at macgeekgab.com/Discord. And it will also be sent out via our mailing list. So you can go to macgeekgab.com and sign up for the mailing list. Very specifically, it will not be posted on any social media other than our Discord because we don't want to attract the randos that come in. So,
Too late, Dave. I already know.
I know. Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry to tell you, dude.
It's a good time. So it's a nice little thing on a Sunday afternoon.
We just want the randos we know.
Yes.
There you go.
Right. Yeah.
The randos we know. Well, there's a show title.
The randos we know. Yeah.
So, hey, and a quick correction. At the very beginning of the show, I had the banner up for MGG 1068. And the correct date, I corrected that. So if you read that, I caught it, and it is 1069 for December 23rd.
Great.
Sorry about that, folks.
Most people don't look at the video for that anyway, so it's all
there's
good.
that. Fair enough.
You want to take us back to quick tips, Pete, and bring us to Tony?
If I don't, nobody else will. So, So Tony writes in, and like me, hey, Tony loves holiday music, and I do too. I just don't want to hear rocking around the Christmas tree in July unless I gain suicidal ideations. So he says, look, the season is when lots of folks queue up holiday music for listening on Apple's music. But remember, Apple uses your listening history to feed its algorithms to generate music suggestions for you, your listening station, for example. So unless you want to be listening to Rudolph until spring, go to Music, Settings, Use Listening History, and turn that off until after Christmas. And it's also possible to create a focus that toggles Use Listening History on and off. Happy holidays. And here's Pete's addendum, because I'm a Spotify user. When you open Spotify, tap on your profile icon. It's either on the Mac or in iOS. Once you tap on your profile icon, select Private session. A padlock icon will appear indicating your session is private. And remember, private sessions end automatically after a period of inactivity, so ensure it's active each time you listen to holiday music, unless you want to hear about Rudolph in August. Just saying. Yeah.
Rudolph in August sounds like a new Christmas song that could be written.
There you go.
About how he's
or Olive
lamenting.
the other reindeer.
Sure.
So I have questions.
I have answers. They're not correct,
Because I'm going to practice what we preach and try not to get caught. So toggling that setting will not expunge previous history. It just pauses.
My understanding is that it pauses it until such time as you turn it back on.
We have confirmation of that.
Good thing. You didn't back it up before you started?
Well, and then assuming it does, I guess the follow-up, maybe stump the geek question that I would throw out is, if I did want to expunge my history, how would I do it? If that doesn't do it.
Oh, that's a great question.
We don't have to answer that today, but maybe someone could look it up and tell us, or we can follow up with that. But
yeah.
I'm sorry, I was deleting some comments, speaking of randos. What'd you ask? I missed that.
No. It says...
that's like Beetlejuice. If you say rando 3 times, they just show up.
Yeah, right.
No, there's some discussions about this on Apple's discussions forum, and somebody says you can clear the queue, which will clear your playing history, but that's not going to.
No, that's just the play history.
That's just the play history. Yeah, that's a great question, Adam. I don't know the
maybe
answer.
Maybe you can't. Yeah, maybe Apple just knows forever the music that you like. And part of the reason this comes up is I will give you another tip. So if you and your wife share a iTunes account, because you had to do that back in the day.
Yeah.
Listening history becomes problematic. Let's just say that.
Because
my wife and I don't share the same music interests.
Long car rides must be hell.
Well, what ends up happening is I do a lot of S-Lady, don't like this. S-Lady, don't like this.
Yeah.
S-Lady, don't like this.
Nice.
To kind of reset the balance of the force.
So there is, there are some interesting things about this. We'll have to look at it, look a little deeper. But it seems like your recommendations are going based on the most recent 4 weeks in a rolling period. And there is some anecdotal reports. There are some anecdotal reports that clearing your recent listening history will help to help to shorten that period. Yeah. Yeah. But again, all quite nothing from Apple, all very anecdotal, but enough of these reports that, again, the plural of anecdote is not data. Hat tip to Kelly Gumont for reminding us of that regularly. But yeah, so maybe there is at least something to that. So yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I will transition us back with a tip from Andrew, who says, quick tip on enabling column view in the iPad Files app. He says, lads, well, society made me. I am not sure if this is new, but I just found it. Column view on iPad OS. So there's a little icon in the Files app up in the upper, looks like right-hand corner. Looks like 3 little, well, it'd be, depending upon what mode you're in, either 3 squares if you're in icon view, the dots with a line if you're in list view. And if you click that icon, there is a column option, which looks like 3 columns in the little icon. So you can toggle your views between that. And bonus, Andrew says you can also drag and drop in that view in iPad OS. So
I don't think I'd ever seen this before. Yeah. Love it.
Neither had I.
Love it. Love it. It's good stuff. Yeah. Andy has our next tip and says, I want to remind us all of the power of safe mode. Last week, he says, I upgraded from my 2017 iMac 27-inch to a Mac Mini M4. Yes, I paid the Apple tax. Oh, yeah, with 2 terabytes of storage and 64 gigs of RAM. He says he paid the Apple tax, but he says this will last me 8 years, so I'm good with it. About a month ago. Yeah, I get it. I have done the same thing. About a month ago on my old iMac, I started having issues with network connectivity. I determined the issue was on my iMac alone, as I could access the internet, but could not accept my routers either. I have 2 routers. One's a Synology, one's an RG. Couldn't access either one. When doing the migration to the Mac Mini, I transferred everything except network settings, hoping that would fix the issue on the new machine. It did not. Finally, I called Apple, and after running through the basics, Apple support suggested restarting in safe mode to see if the problem continued there. In safe mode, I was able to access my RG router, and when I restarted the Mac Mini normally, not in safe mode, the problem had been resolved. I then did this on my 2017 iMac with the same results. I wish I knew exactly what got resolved, but at least it was good to see that safe mode was the right fix. Yeah, safe mode's an interesting thing. Its primary sort of stated reason for existence, I think, is it doesn't load. It loads only the basics, is probably the right way to say it. So it's not loading any extra drivers or third-party apps or any of that. But in addition to that, it also does a house cleaning of the system on the way up into safe mode to really kind of get everything back to square one. It cleans a bunch of caches and does a lot of the sort of maintenance that might get overlooked, especially if your machine's off or whatever. So yeah, right. It doesn't surprise me, but it's nice to know that whatever that cache was, or whatever, got wiped out and rebuilt, and there you go. So yeah, love it. Safe mode.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget about safe mode. I don't know when the last time was we recommended safe mode to, potentially resolve the problem, but it doesn't hurt. So
I'm going to stump the geek question here. Does Apple still have on their support site how to go into safe mode, how to go into restore mode, how to clear, now I don't even remember what it's called, but basically clear resetting your SMC, which I don't think you need to do anymore with Apple.
I don't think you can do. Yeah. Yes, there is an article about starting up your Mac in safe mode, and if it's an Apple Silicon Mac, you press and hold the power button until loading startup options appears. Then you select a volume, and you press and hold the Shift key, and then click Continue in safe mode, which will be one of the options that comes up. Okay. On an Intel Mac, you restart your Mac, and as soon as it starts, immediately press and hold the Shift key until you see the login window, and it should see safe mode in the menu bar. It should say safe mode in the menu bar. So it's a little different on the Silicon Mac. You got to get to the startup options with the power button held down, and then hold the Shift key after you select a volume. So it's one extra step, but it's all about the Shift key. Maybe that's a way to say it.
I think the difference is
at support.apple.com.
Yeah, I think the main difference, right, is just how the security works. And I think there's some pre-stuff that happens with the Intel Macs. Like there's kind of like a pre-volume or something like that you boot into.
Fair. Yep, that's right.
You have to get past first some security checks, and then...
That's right. Yeah,
that's
makes
why
sense.
It's different.
Yep. So thank you for that, Andy. Good stuff. Anything else on that, Adam?
Nope.
Okay. In our quick tips / don't get caught section, got a note from a listener the other night who says, I'm about to have a heart attack. I just did something that I don't do, but I did. This listener, Dave, has a recording studio. He says, I was in a session today and I needed to make some room on my work drive and was quickly deleting some stuff. I just finished the session, and then I went to go open up another project that I've been paid a bunch of money for and that I'm working on in the mornings and evenings. I am in the final phases of, and I realized I just deleted the entire project. I have backups, but I didn't do backups in the last couple of days, which is just incredibly stupid. He says, because I am normally religious about that. And he says, I ended up downloading Disk Drill and running that. He says, I can't believe how many deleted files it found and said that they had a high probability of being able to be restored. However, the most important ones weren't there. I had a backup of the whole project from about 3 days prior. It would have cost me a fortune if I didn't have at least that, and I will go and reconstruct the rest. But remember, your backups are only good if you keep doing them. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Dave. Yeah, I know.
There's that. So,
yeah.
I don't know if we've ever mentioned this before, Dave. There's this one called SetApp.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
And it's available on SetApp. So,
distro. Oh, it is. Oh,
yeah, in case we hadn't mentioned it.
I like it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
This exact case was why I one of the reasons that I used ChronoSync on very specific folders for, like in my case, it was my podcasting folder where I would do GarageBand and stuff too, and just had it auto watch and auto sync that folder all the time. So it was a backup to an external volume, but not technically like a true, like what most people think of as backup. It was very selective.
Yeah.
And it was for this exact reason, because I had been burned by that one time where, something, and if Time Machine hasn't picked it up yet, or your other backup hasn't picked it up yet, this was more immediate, like, hey, anything that goes in here, back it up, like copy it over.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
And I've actually got something along, speaking of backups, that I'll do some more research on, and I may need your help, Dave. I remember, you may remember some months, maybe well over a year ago now, you helped me create a backup volume on the disk station for Time Machine to use. And now Time Machine's saying that's full and can't back up to it anymore. And I'm like, what? That should never happen. It should just start writing over it. But
Time Machine. While we're going through this, it doesn't.
Right.
I think it's a fine time to go through backing up in general. I use Time Machine. I use Carbon Copy Cloner, CCC Backup. I think is what we're supposed to call it now. Mm-hmm. And then I also use a piece of software called ARQ, ARC, as it is. ARC is. It's a very, sorry way to say this. It's backup software where you can just kind of set the destination to be anywhere you want. It could be another folder on an attached drive. It could be an FTP server. It could be a WebDAV server. It could be Amazon S3 server, right? And which opens up a whole lot of options because S3 has basically become a standard that other people have cloned. Mm-hmm. And I use a piece of software called Minio running on my Synology, and that acts as a S3 destination. And so I have ARC backup there. And I realize this is very belt and suspenders where I have 6 different backups of the same thing. But if one of them fails, I have others, and I can trust but verify. But I only have to verify once a month or once every 2 months. I go in and make sure that all 3 of my backups are working, but that one of them hasn't died for some reason. But the backing up to with ARC to Minio it's just one of those interesting things. And because I now have a Minio server, MINIO is what it is. You can set it up for free on your as a Docker container on your Synology. And what's cool about it is I also have our WordPress sites backing up to my disk station to the Minio destination because there's plenty of plugins for WordPress to back up to S3. And instead of giving it an Amazon endpoint, I give it the endpoint of my dynamic DNS address here at my house. Then I point a port at my Minio server, and it's just I see it. I mean, I have to log in. There's credentials, things like that, but it works, and it's great. So
very cool.
Yeah. So all 3 of those: Time Machine, CCC Backup, and then ARC to Minio.
And then does ARC run continuously or on a schedule, or can you set it up? How can you set it up?
I have Arc running on a schedule. Yeah, and it runs once a day, and I just tell it to back up whatever I want it to back up, so. Yep. I'm extremely nervous at the moment because I see that in the agenda, someone, perhaps one of us or perhaps one of our listeners, has selected everything.
I was just copying. I wanted those links.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't going to delete much.
Yeah.
I was going to see if you had your backups in place, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we do.
Oh.
So if you're listening to the show live, or if you care to, or even if you don't, we do have a link where when you're listening live, you can see the agenda that we have that we are using for that episode. It is literally the same document, and we edit it as we're doing it, adding links in. It is world editable. I know it sounds crazy, but I also talk all the time about how great our community is, and this is an example of it.
Yeah.
No one's ever come in and ruin the agenda intentionally.
Here he comes. He's going to say it.
No, I don't think it was you once, but we had somebody, put something in or delete the whole thing. And of course, it's a Google Doc. So there's a revision history.
Versions
it's fine.
of it,
Yeah, it's all good.
I was going to say you had what? I wasn't saying I did it. I was saying don't give anyone any ideas, Dave.
Oh, it's fine. We can give people ideas. We just trust them.
I
not
just had
to
to delete
use
comments,
I know, but that's the YouTube comments, Pete. Those don't really count. That's why we use Discord for our community, because it kind of keeps it keeps the drive-bys out. Yeah, but
only the randos we know.
It's the randos we know. All right, folks, let's talk about at least one of the ingredients in the secret sauce behind my podcast workflow. That's the hardware from our friends and our sponsor, OWC. I've been relying on their gear for years, and now they've outdone themselves with the new Thunderbolt 5 hub, a hub so advanced I'm pretty sure it's plotting world peace behind the scenes. This thing adds extra Thunderbolt 5 ports to your Mac or your PC or your iPad Pro, letting you connect, daisy chain, and power your devices at mind-blowing speeds, up to 80 gigabytes per second bidirectionally. Want to power your laptop, run 3 8K displays, and still have bandwidth to download the internet? Done. And it delivers up to 140 watts of charging power because nobody's got time for low battery warnings. Plus, it's 100% compatible with Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, USB-C, and even future-proofed for whatever's next. Oh, and by the way, it's fanless, so, it's quieter than a ninja sneaking through a library. Don't get caught with outdated technology, my friends. Check out the new Thunderbolt 5 hub today at macsales.com. It's the upgrade your tech setup has been begging for, and I think you're going to love it. I got to see it at PepCom in person. This thing's slick. Go check it out, macsales.com. Our thanks to OWC for sponsoring this episode. All right, quick question. Do your end users always, and I mean always, work exclusively on company-owned devices and IT-approved apps? Yeah, I didn't think so. So how do you keep your company's data safe when it's spread across every device, app, and random Wi-Fi signal imaginable? Well, enter our sponsor, 1Password Extended Access Management. 1Password Extended Access Management tackles those shortcuts through the grass in your company's security. It ensures every sign-in is protected, every device is verified, and every app is accounted for without needing a spreadsheet titled Security Nightmares Volume 3. And it works seamlessly with tools like Okta, Microsoft Entra, and more. Oh, and here's something. I heard 1Password is so secure, even the Loch Ness Monster has to verify her two-factor authentication before logging in. True story? Who knows? But don't get caught without this level of security. Head to 1password.com/MGG to learn more and keep your company's data safe no matter where it roams. Again, 1password.com/MGG. Go check it out. I think you're going to love it. And our thanks to the folks at 1Password and 1Password Extended Access Management for sponsoring this episode. Cool stuff found time. Right? Shall we, Adam?
Is.
All right, cool.
Nod louder, Adam.
Oh, yes, sir. What?
Are you starting us with cool stuff found?
Am I? Am I off?
Yeah,
you are.
I think it's
I got Sharon. Yeah, a little follow up. Sorry, because we'd been having a conversation about the iPhone action button and my not using it because I haven't bothered to like hook it up to actually something useful beyond mute and unmute. And she says, "Hello, gentlemen," with an asterisk. Read that as you wish.
Oh boy,
I'll use gentlemen. That's funny. I didn't notice that before. I keep hearing you, especially Adam, that you have not embraced the action button, and I still haven't. She says, I got a shortcut from Halide, which allows me to choose 6 different options. So I guess with hitting that button, and we'll have a link to the Halide little, I think it's probably a shortcut thing. So the 6 different options are mute toggle, so toggle the mute, flashlight, rotation lock, camera, Halide, and settings. I mostly use it for camera, but there's those times that I need to mute as well, and I can choose that option. So there's a link to an article over at Mac Rumors that tells you how to set it all up. And this is great. I need to actually give this a shot. I just need to get off my lazy butt and do it, and I just haven't. So.
I need to do more with that too. I need to set up one that like intelligently does one thing when I'm on CarPlay and another thing when I'm not. Like that's kind of where I'm going with my action button these days. Yeah, because when I'm on CarPlay, when I hit the action button, I want it to launch into ChatGPT's voice conversation mode. Because I use it in my car all the time when I'm driving, especially late home from gigs. It's really nice to have a conversation if I'm alone in the car. And you're all asleep, so I can't call you.
Probably not, actually, but that's a whole
yeah, that's fair.
So there's times you've texted me at that time in the morning, and I'm answering right back. So.
Right back. Yeah, I see. Oh, it went red. Oh, okay. Pete's. Yep.
That's what Do Not Disturb is for.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Which actually, while we were in the ads, I hit myself a little reminder to turn off my focus at the end of the day, because otherwise I'll go all day and not get a single call. I'd be so happy about it until close of business and go, oh, I missed it. Oh, no, damn.
Well, so for that, I have a focus mode called podcasting focus mode, and it changes my lock screen on my iPhone to something.
Yeah, see, I didn't change I need to do that. Change my lock screen.
And that visual indicator of the lock screen change is
I used to
for every
on my old
focus
phone.
mode. Yeah.
On my old phone, I had like a microphone for podcasting. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's the mode it's in. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And Dave, I don't know about you. I started, you're talking about action button for CarPlay and stuff. I just started putting mine in the center console. So I use strictly CarPlay, and if I can't use CarPlay, then I need to just not touch my phone.
Oh, I mean, I basically do the same thing.
Even though it's mounted up there and it's kind of the same as your screen, it's, I just don't, I don't want the hassles. No, it's a $500 fine in New Hampshire to be caught touching that thing.
Correct. I just reach down and hold the action button until it launches into ChatGPT voice mode, and then that's it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I would love if ChatGPT had a CarPlay app. I'm guessing the only reason they don't is that Apple has asked them not to, so that people will use the Siri to ChatGPT integration. And I will tell you, I would love to use that. I'm on all the latest developer betas because of that. It sucks. I can't have an interactive conversation with it at best, and this is at best. I get one answer out of it, and then
it goes away again. Yeah.
It's like, no, like, let's keep talking here. Let's go, lady. Yeah.
I get this lady will ask me, hey, can I send this to ChatGPT? Absolutely. Yeah, I want the answer. And it comes back, and then it goes back into, I'm not talking to you until you launch it all over again.
What I wonder about that is, like, we are still waiting on all the S-Lady updates. Those aren't coming till next year, right? We were
some
told
of them
already.
are here now. I mean, the
big one, the like more interactive Siri, like, it's my understanding, like the real Siri stuff, and I don't know why it's taking them so dang long, but I would hold out hope that maybe that's when that changes. But that's not going to be until spring, I think, sometime in the spring, right?
I think you're right, but progress has been painstakingly slow.
Yeah.
Compared to where
guessing
the rest
'cause
of the
it's hard.
industry is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but Pete, the rest of the industry is
Fair
already
enough.
doing it.
Fair enough. But, Apple may not have the money to put into this research and development, Dave. I'm just saying.
No.
Yeah, all those AI experts they hired are just probably sitting around twiddling their thumbs, I'm sure.
I mean, I get that Apple is, whatever they're doing, I'm sure is worth the time from some perspective. However, I can already do this on my iPhone with a free app from ChatGPT.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can also do it on an Android phone with the built-in stuff. And that's getting, like, they are leapfrogging Apple on this. If Apple doesn't come out with something very compelling in the spring, I think they've already lost people. They need to do something to get people back on this.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, John's mentioning in the Discord chat, privacy makes it harder. I mean, in this case, though, like you've already said, if you've opted into the Chat GPT thing, that's already out the window. Like you've already said, like, go ahead, and all we're talking about is something that's been missing for a long time, where Siri needs to be fully interactive. And sorry for everybody, I just set my thing off, so I'm sure I forgot S Lady, but the S Lady needs to be fully interactive at this point. You should be able to have a continuous conversation with it and have it react.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I will give this to Apple, right? I mean, if they did launch it and it didn't work, we'd be bat guano crazy with them. They aren't going to do it until they're sure it works 100%.
That's fair.
So that's what they're waiting on.
Yeah, you're right.
think.
It's not just privacy that is Apple's sort of, Achilles heel in a sense, because, they talk the talk, they walk the walk, but it does require them to do more than every other company out there because they've said they're going to do more and they've always done more. But it's not just privacy. It's also their customer satisfaction, right? They, to your exact point, they want to roll this out and have it be easy to use.
Yeah.
But the problem is often with Apple, we see what we're seeing, where the features that come out are rolled out very slowly so that support requests is kept to a minimum. Support requests are kept to a minimum. Customer satisfaction is kept to a maximum. The problem with this particular thing is exactly what we said. It's already out there for free.
And they've advertised it, that it's coming.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
I know. They've wet our
Don't
whistle
say
too
nothing
much.
Until.
It's the optics. It's just the optics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
it's
optics.
tough.
Yeah. Speaking of shortcuts, well, one thing I want to share is that with the iPhone 16 that have the camera buttons, the Halide app also integrates with that. So,
Nice.
so they're doing all kinds of things over there. So you don't have to have the phone app be your camera button. Like you can do all kinds of things. So,
In my case, that camera button's hard to hit. Just saying.
yeah.
Almost any. It's just harder.
I think the Apple cases where they put like the little camera button extender in there that costs a fortune. I think that's fine. But otherwise you've got like a big sort of dip in the case that you got to get your finger into.
I don't know of these problems that you guys speak of.
I know, Adam.
I'm jealous
I will
of you,
say
Adam.
the Spec Presidio case works really well with the camera button. It's not. It's the cutout is wide enough that
fair enough.
that my finger kind of naturally goes there, but never hits it by accident. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes too. And with that, I will. Mine is actually the Presidio grip case because I like the little grippies. But with that, I will go to Jeff's cool stuff found, which is an app on the Mac App Store, available on the Mac App Store, called Shortery. And it allows you to run a shortcut every minute of the workday. And the reason for its existence is, unlike on iPhone, you cannot set a time-based trigger on your Mac for shortcuts. So he says, I have one using Shortery that checks my work calendar and responds accordingly. If a meeting just started, it'll set a focus mode to meeting and then turn my lights red for me to know that the meeting just started if I've missed it. And for my family to know not to disturb me. If it sees a meeting in the next 5 minutes, it'll set those lights to yellow so that I know I have a meeting coming up. And if it sees the meeting ends in a minute, it will wait 55 seconds and then set the focus mode back to work, turning off all of my status lights. I like this. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah. So shortery is sort of the key to that. And I love the example, Jeff, that it, even if we're not going to, I might actually use that example, especially for podcasting. I might put a light. I should put a smart light in the hallway outside my studio that turns red when I'm podcasting in here.
Dave, it seems like that'd be a great use for those cubes behind you.
It would be a great use for those cubes behind me. I actually have those cubes turn on as part of my podcasting workflow. I talked about those in the last episode, right? The Yeelight cubes. Yeah.
You should actually put it outside the door to the outside door. So
that's what I was saying.
Up the steps. Oh, I
the
thought
light
you were
in the
talking
hallway.
about the light at the top of the
the light at the top of the steps. Yeah,
I'm saying outside the door downstairs, so no one even enters the garage.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if people would.
Closed set. Do not enter.
Do not enter. Yeah. Or I could just put that note on the door permanently, and then it would be fine. Nobody will bother me.
Keep out. This means you.
This means you.
I'd turn back if I were you.
All right. Next one that we thought we'd mentioned, but I don't think we ever have.
Yeah, so if we mentioned this before, sorry, folks, it's a repeat from repeat. Actually, this one's from Andrew, who writes in, "This is the app I have been waiting for, a way to see stored text, aka notes, on my watch. For whatever reason, Apple Notes, Evernote, and Simple Notes aren't on watch. I often go without my phone, and sometimes I have a need to respond to inquiries from my Airbnb/Booking DC guests with door and Wi-Fi codes and links to maps. With a cheat sheet, I can store lots of text, and it's just there on the watch and iPhone. It also has a great widget for iOS. It's free, but the premium is a one-off at $5 for iCloud syncing with the watch. It's a no-brainer. There's also a Mac version, which I'm yet to get, but will. It's just great. It's clever, well-made, and a good value." So, and then we'll put the link there into the show notes. But I'll tell you what, I've got another quick tip for you in there, Andrew. For our place in Florida, I have a little QR code that logs you into our Wi-Fi password. So when someone comes in, just scan that code and you'll get it.
Yeah, cheat sheet. This is fascinating. I think of this app. I'm not using it, but as I'm kind of processing it here, I think of this as something that might get some of those pinned notes out of my note. Right out of my note. Like, you could certainly do this in notes, but like he said, you're not going to get it on your watch. So you get those pinned notes, and now you can kind of see them everywhere for those things that you need. And like you, Pete, I here in the studio, I have a QR code on the. I put it on the beer fridge because I figure everybody's going to figure out where that is real fast, and then no one
figure they want Wi-Fi.
Nobody ever. People prioritize generally beer over Wi-Fi. And so they get a beer first, and by the time they've gotten a beer, they already know where to get the Wi-Fi password. And as long as I keep the beer fridge well stocked, I never have to answer the question, "Hey Dave, what's the Wi-Fi password?"
Have we ever, Cool Stuff, founded the TenOne design Wi-Fi porter, the tap Wi-Fi
What's
connect
this?
thing?
No.
Wait, what? Oh boy.
Tell us about this, Adam.
I've done the QR code thing too. I don't know. I've seen this advertised and it looks really cool. And I've had other TenOne products, I think, in the past. But yeah, they have a little wood Wi-Fi thing. I think it has a NFC in it that you can set up, and you can just like tap to connect. It's for like hotels and
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know what the price on it. It's not too bad.
It's $40 for the standard one, which looks to be some kind of wood or something,
like maple or something,
like maple-ish. Yeah, and then there's a walnut and stainless steel version for $60. So,
Yep.
So, I think we have
That's
talked
pretty
about
cool.
that, but it was a
Oh yeah, and then there's
time
QR
ago.
code on the back, so you can like flip it over and QR code it if you don't have a phone that does the NFC thing. I think.
Yeah. Interesting.
I wonder.
Cool. Love that.
You could make your own with some NFC chips.
Yeah, probably.
Does the
almost anything,
iPhone
too.
join? Wait, though. Does the iPhone join NFC Wi-Fi? I don't think it does.
I'm
It
just
will
thinking,
read. It will read the NFC, but I don't think it will join the Wi-Fi. It used to. I remember a Mac Tech conference where they put NFC stickers like outside of every conference room door,
Right.
and you could join with your iPhone, and it was great. And then the next major version of iOS took that away from a from a security standpoint. So I
got a stupid
I don't know if
question
it's
then.
back, but it certainly went away for a while.
How could that Wi-Fi porter possibly work? If isn't there an NFC chip in that thing? How else would that tech
Oh,
work?
it does. That's what I'm saying. But there's a little note that right on the website kind of that goes underneath the Wi-Fi porter and says, for Android, tap the block with your Android phone. For iPhone, flip it over and use the QR code. So I think this still is the
iOS
case.
shut them down. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like iOS 10 or I don't know why, or maybe it was the iPhone X and XR or whatever, XS and XR. Like whatever operating system was around when the XR was the phone, that operating system allowed you to do this. And then the very next one, it was like, no NFC Wi-Fi for you. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, to Pete's point, though, you could make one of these and, even like laser engrave the QR code
Right.
on the front,
Are you hearing that, Robin?
for iPhone people and then have the NFC for Android people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My
Still a cool-
My sister,
cool little
Robin's Bird Brain Designs, she could do it for you.
There you go. That's right. Yeah, 3 years ago, somebody says that Wi-Fi Connect with NFC is not compatible with Apple, but I
What
haven't
the
tested
heck,
it
Apple?
recently. I'm sure it was taken away
Security.
for security. Well, because think about it, right? They could make it so that you have to say yes, or type in your passcode or something.
Or Face ID.
Face ID, whatever. There's a world where this could be doable in a secure way, and Apple doesn't let us live in that world. So,
Well, the problem is the nefariousness of those putting out these codes, right? They're going to take you to a place you don't want to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can NFC tags work with. I trigger shortcuts with them. I'm pretty sure that still works. And
Yep, that
Yep.
does.
yeah, and like loading a web page and things like that certainly works. So, yeah. Anyway,
That seems more dangerous than joining a Wi-Fi. Loading a web page.
right?
To a pretty
Maybe.
dangerous phishing site.
Yeah, I don't know, but like joining Wi-Fi now, all of your network traffic could be sniffed. I mean, I know that's true anytime we join a network, but at least we're doing so with intention as opposed to right. Yeah, exactly.
What?
That makes me think. No, I was thinking, like, how could someone trick your phone into joining Wi-Fi, and it won't happen. Like if you've joined whatever, Marriott Bonvoy, like the generic name of the thing, your phone
What if
won't
they spell it
auto.
with one T.
Yeah, well, no. You would spell it exactly the same so that anyone who's ever been to a Marriott hotel will automatically join your Wi-Fi when you hit, right somewhere else. Like you could do that. But I think there's like that 2-week period after which your phone won't automatically join those non-secure networks, right? You have to go in and tap it and tell it to join that network. Yeah. But the Xfinity network, no, that still won't work because it comes with a profile, and that profile is unique to you.
Right.
I'm trying to think, because that like you when you download the Xfinity thing, if you're an Xfinity customer and you download their profile, really all it has
off other people's.
but what it has in there is your email and password for your Xfinity account. It just sort of auto-populates
only you can get
it.
in there, so to speak. Yeah.
Well, but it's if it were a generic one, you could then look at the profile, pull that data out, and then set your network to be the secure Xfinity one using those same credentials, and people can get in, but that won't happen. So yeah, I don't know the magic answer. Maybe it's good that I can't think of one. Like I'm not, I don't know.
Giving them ideas, Steve.
Yeah, that's what we do. I don't know. It's like, I like to be thinking like this though. Like it's
Come
always
delete
good.
all our stuff.
Well, it's good
our
to
Wi-Fi.
It's good to think like this, right?
Well, that's part of the whole "don't get caught" thing.
Exactly. Think about how you might. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And John
yes.
pointed out the Wi-Fi porter tap thing does work on newer iPhones 2018 and after.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, so I'm going to program an NFC tag and put that on the beer fridge for people to join. All right. Well, that's good. Okay. I
still have never played with NFC tags. I've got to do it. I just QR codes.
Go like they're great stocking stuffers for yourself. I always put a gift under the tree, from Dave to Dave, because it's what I do. Yeah. Yep. And
my favorite gift. I've always
right. How did you know?
Mine's coming today. I ordered it over a year ago.
There you go. Right. Yeah. So a bag of NFC tags, especially sticky ones, is a fun little stocking
tags.
stuffer. Bag of tags. Yep. Bag it and tag it. There you go.
Cool.
Well, all right.
One more quick cool stuff found. Sorry. Ad-libbing or ad-hocking or however to do it is, and I know I've talked about this before, but how I do my QR codes is the IQR app. And you can do all kinds of fun stuff with that. You can embed photos in the middle of the QR code, and it's going to tell you whether it's readable or not. You can change colors and have all kinds of fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. I will put that.
I can put the link to. Oh, never mind. You're too fast.
I'm on it. Yeah. Well, if you're talking, I'm doing links.
So
I don't know.
Here's the thing, folks.
My hands just do this.
Listening to this show, and even the ones watching it, it's a fascinating thing to watch the multitask management going on with Dave. He's able to talk, type, grab links, put them in. I mean, he's been doing it for a couple years now, so I get it. But it is pretty impressive to watch the multitasking going on.
There are times though where it's like, oh no. I've been saying yes, and I have no idea what we're talking about on the show right now. So I do get caught sometimes.
I'll expect that check next week. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, let's see. We're in Cool Stuff Found land, so we'll just stay here. I get asked questions about sound a lot in general. And often the questions are about, what kind of speakers or headphones, or this, that, and the other thing. And it's a very personal, headphones especially, a super personal choice. But even speakers, I have some sort of de facto recommendations, but it's all sort of, what do you want to do? And I'm always happy to answer those questions. Feedback at MacGeekGab.com.
Whoa, wait. Where?
Yeah.
Feedback at MacGeekGab.com.
Pete, you heard him. Feedback at MacGeekGab.com.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But one thing that I have found to make a huge, noticeable, immediate difference in how things sound on my Mac at my desk is using an external DAC, digital to analog converter. So your Mac has a DAC, I know, inside it. Because it's got a headphone jack, right? It's also got a speaker. So it has to somehow take the digital signals and convert them to analog because our ears remain analog devices, right? So the DAC in your Mac is fine, but it doesn't have discrete power. So it's noisy because of all the other things that are happening inside your Mac. And it's also made to be affordable because people aren't buying a Mac because, oh my gosh, this Mac has amazing sound. It's got fine sound. And you can plug headphones in, or you can plug speakers into the headphone jack, and they sound good. I still have a pair of Audioengine A2s on my on my desk downstairs in the office, and I had them plugged into my Mac and used them that way for years. And then I got what the Cool Stuff Found here is. I'm burying the lead. I got the Audioengine D1, which is their right now it's $125 DAC. And this thing it plugs in USB to your Mac, and then you plug your audio, your headphones or your speakers into it. I didn't move my speakers; they stayed in exactly the same spot. All I did was move the cord from the back of my Mac to the back of the DAC, and it felt like my sound field got 50 feet wider in a great way. And deeper. It was amazing the difference in sound that I heard and just perceived. It wasn't just, and it certainly wasn't. I mean, I actually used a dB meter to make sure that the sound levels were the same while I was A/Bing, because we humans perceive louder as better within reason. But you add 3 dB to something and it suddenly sounds better. It's like, well, you're getting more information. Like, of course it does, unless it hurts you, and then it's worse. But there's a curve to it. I made sure the dB levels were the same. It was just a wider, deeper, richer sound field. And so if you are looking for something for you or yourself or that special someone, I know there's a couple days left, and at least the Christmas gift giving, and I think Hanukkah also starts on the 25th this year, if memory serves. But yeah, this is getting an external DAC. I have and like the Audioengine D1. There are many others, but it makes a huge difference. Is really the point I wanted to make. So I've made it.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Should I take us to the last one? I threw in an Audible.
Great.
Not that I haven't thrown other Audibles into this cool stuff found, but we were talking earlier about weather, and I think some temperatures came up, and I'm in South Dakota now, and so it's a very, very cold climate. And what I learned my first winter here was key to survival, having a really good base layer. So I found Smartwool, which is, they have all kinds of products, but it's merino wool products, and they make base layers, which is the underlayer. Back in the day, we used to call them, long johns or
long underwear. Yeah.
Long underwear. Yep.
Yep.
But the key is being 100% wool. It's super comfortable, super breathable, wears really, really well. It's a little pricier, but like all things in life, you get what you pay for. And so paying a little bit more upfront for good quality, warm undergarments. But what I like about it best is it's also very breathable. So you don't get over hot too when you're going in and out, right? So I wear them all day long and super comfortable, breathable. So I don't get hot when I'm inside, and I stay warm when I'm outside.
Nice.
And I love this stuff. This is really good stuff.
Smartwool. All right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the beauty of wool is it takes the perspiration away from your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's moisture wicking.
How do it
It's natural.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. I like it. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Where are we here time-wise?
Time for a couple questions, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Let's go ahead and let's go to Allister. Start there. Why not?
All right. Allister has a question. He says, I've been using an iPhone 16 Pro for the last couple months. Recently noticed that when I have a photo as my wallpaper and I change the style to seamless background mono or seamless background, color backdrops, or studio, my photo disappears when the phone goes to sleep. I have the always on display option turned on in settings for show wallpaper and show notifications. This happens on different photos and only happens if I change the style to one of these styles mentioned above. Any ideas on how I can resolve this without doing a full reinstall? Or is this normal behavior that I just haven't noticed before?
Yeah, I don't think it's normal behavior personally. Just me, and of course now notes won't come up. I have written down notes on exactly how to answer. There it goes. It took its time, but it finally came up. I told him, I said, I don't think it's normal behavior, but something similar happened to me when I had seamless background mono on, and I just turned off the stylized effect, and and gave up. And when I turned it back on to play with it, it was working fine. So that may fix it, turning it off and turning it back on. If not, I'd push a little harder. Some ideas that I have are go to settings, display and brightness, always on display, temporarily turn off show wallpaper, and then turn it back on to force a reload of those settings. And then go to settings, wallpaper, remove and re-add the wallpaper, and then reapply the stylized effect and see if that works. The other one, and I'm not saying this to insult your intelligence, but it may be, or, you know, I have low power mode set to come on at 85%. I'm wondering if you're in low power mode, if that may be. Now, he said it only happens in a few of the stylized effects, not all of them. So that tells me that he probably isn't. But I think low power mode will affect that. Mm-hmm. So make sure you're not there if you are.
Yeah. Low power mode. It's the only thing I've seen do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, yeah.
But mine would just hung, apparently. The one time it happened to me, I was like, oh, that's weird. And I went out of it and came back and it was working fine. So kind of forcing a reload of it seemed to work.
Yeah. Could just be buggy, and Apple has it on a list somewhere. And
what?
Yep. It's low priority because it's probably not. It's annoying, but it's not, affecting any critical functionality.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any other thoughts about this.
I don't have anything to add. Yeah, no, that's good advice, Pete.
Yep.
Every now and then.
Should we do Mike here? I think we got time for at least one more. Yeah.
Mike says, "Hi guys, I just got a new M4 Mac Mini, and I want to move all my settings and some of my apps from my old Intel Mac Mini to my new one. Is there a way to selectively choose what I transfer to the new Mac, other than an all or nothing backup, restore, or migration assistant? Also, is there a way to save a bare bones configuration for macOS, iOS for future installs or duplication? Thanks for all the fish, Mike."
I'm guessing based on Mike's thanks for all the fish comment that he might be someone who followed you over from MacCast.
Or just a Douglas Adams fan.
Well, that too. I mean, yes, a Douglas Adams fan for sure. But I know that was in the title of your last episode.
That was my last
MacCast.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, very cool. Did you ever get to meet Douglas Adams?
I never did. I know he was a huge Mac guy. Yeah.
He was. Yeah. Yeah. He showed up at like a CompUSA in Austin while I was living there. I think. I want to say that the game was Spaceship Earth, but it wasn't. That's the Epcot attraction. But whatever that game was that he came out with, that he was pushing, and we sat and had a long conversation. He also came to a couple of Macworld Expos too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think yes. We and it's interesting. We kind of talked about this earlier in the episode when sharing some tips that Migration Assistant does offer some level of granularity. We had that listener that chose not to migrate their network settings to no avail for their problem, but still they were able to make that choice. And I think it's worth looking at those options. My guess is the way Mike kind of what he's looking for, I don't think you're going to find the exact level of granularity that you want, but you might get something close. So take a look. It's not going to hurt to kind of dig through those options and don't just accept the defaults of Migration Assistant. Another fun little app that I've heard of lots and have never used, and I think we've even talked about it here on the show, is a free app, open source app called Macup, MACKUP. And this is really built for backing up and syncing your settings of apps between different Macs, but might be the kind of thing that that could, at least keep a backup for you of some of these settings. So that would be another thing to look at potentially. So I don't know. It's a command line thing. But other than that, I don't have any ideas. Do you?
No, just so people don't know, when you're using Migration Assistant, you'll get to a screen that says select information to transfer, and then it'll show things like applications, and then I think the user accounts, and then there's one called other files and folders, and then there's your system and network. A couple of those have little disclosure triangles where you can rotate those down and then get additional options. Unfortunately, applications and other files and folders don't have those. So you're not going to be able to get any additional options there, but you will for your like user folders and your system and network files and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's time. I think we got to call this one. Maybe we need to air some grievances.
Oh, there it is.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
There it is.
Now you're going to hear about it.
Now you're going to hear about it.
You know, we do like airing of the grievances here at Mac Geek Gab. We've fondly called them fist shakes over the years, but you know, it's potato. And we even have a fist shakes channel in our Discord. I will share though that while the stated purpose of the Fist Shakes channel is to simply air the grievance and get moral support, we are a community of troubleshooters. And so often when a grievance
not
is...
makers, shooters.
Yes, troubleshooters, not makers. That's right. But we sometimes make trouble by troubleshooting because sometimes people just want to be heard and supported. And yes, I'm with you, as opposed to, you know, that problem is actually solvable if you do this, and this. So we do sometimes spill over into Q&A mode in the Fish Shakes channel, but I mean, it seems like it's all well intentioned.
Yeah.
My daughter,
there's the help desk channel in there.
Well, the help desk channel, yeah.
And
my daughter told me
we mine that for questions and stuff here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. My daughter told me this was. How old is she now? Probably 15 years ago. She was telling me about something that was happening, and I launched into like normal Dave mode of troubleshooting, and she stopped me and she's like, you know, you don't always have to give me an answer. Sometimes it's good if you just listen. And I was like, oh yeah, that's actually really good advice.
That's a Venus and Mars thing there, Dave.
Yes.
No, it's really, it is, but it's also a really good device because dad mode is, we're solving problems, you know.
That's it.
Sometimes that's not what is wanted or warranted.
No.
And we don't see it.
And no, I don't see it. So we made a deal. I was like, okay, if you want help, ask me. And if I'm unclear about whether you want an ear or an assistant, I will ask you. And she was like, sounds fair. And it's actually worked out really well. You know, and I've applied this with other people as well. I don't just limit it to her. But anyway, sometimes we fail at asking that question in the fish shakes because we all like fish shakes, and Festivus is a good day for them. So, all right,
get out of the mode of if I can't help, don't bother me with it. Just saying.
All right.
Well, Pete is Pete, and that's why we love him.
That's right. Thank you for hanging out with us, everybody. Not just today, but all year. Have a great holiday week here. We, of course, will be back next week with another episode because it's what we do. Thanks to Brett Terpstra. Hope he's doing well. And the giveaway with Marked to MacGeekGab.com/giveaway. And then, of course, our CES sponsors, CCC Backup from Bombic, the Omni Group, Private Internet Access, Roborock, and Eero. And I'm looking forward to making it out to CES and doing all that fun stuff. Thanks to CashFly for providing the bandwidth that gets the show from us to you. Check out Pete's other podcast, So There I Was. Check out Adam's other podcast, the Debut Film Podcast, and my other podcasts, Business Brain and Gig Gab. All of those are linked in the show notes of every episode because why not? We can, so we do. Have a great week, folks. Hope you get some good family time. And yeah, don't get caught.
Made on Mac.
Later.